Good afternoon, everybody. This is Alicia Dukov sitting here with my doc, Gregory Jenkins. How you doing?
Hello, everybody.
You're listening to KHTS. It's a gorgeous day. Mm-hmm. Wow, beautiful. I don't know what the weather is, not that we're weather reporters or anything, but we are in spring. Spring has sprung. Do you feel it inside of you?
I feel my allergies are kicking up, so that always means it's springtime.
You know, you got one side here going, the hills are alive with the sound of music. And he's like,
that's it. That's me.
Well, hi.
Good thing
you got the dichotomy
good
sitting here.
Good thing all
right
of
here.
you are not in the studio with me right now.
You know, you don't have to be such a grump, though. Look at like the trees and you're like, yeah, I'm looking at the pollen that's up my nostrils right now.
That's
and
right.
Clogging
I'm feeling it.
Yeah. Well, today's show is going to be about the crazy lives we live as these young modern parents. Mm-hmm. I am a perfect example of this.
You are the ultimate example. No, the penultimate. The penultimate example.
One of the ultimate examples. But I don't think this is anything new generationally. I mean, I remember my mom growing up. My dad was working all the time. He's a musician, as you know. He's a violinist. And we had moved here from London. He was new to the industry, so he was really trying to make a name for himself. He was gone all the time. My mom raised me and my brother literally from like 7 a.m. when my dad left for work till he came home at 7:30 at night. And she was like a one-woman show. And it was to the point where my brother and I would say to her, do we have to go to the zoo again? Mm-hmm. Do we have to go to the park again, Mommy? Mm-hmm. Because she did so much with us. And she used to call herself the schlepper. You know, I don't know if you know Yiddish, but
I know Yiddish.
That word means, to schlep is to carry all the garbage, all the crap, all the stuff, So she would schlep everything onto the beach. She would schlep everything to the Natural History Museum, the Sherpa, right? Mm-hmm. With all this stuff on her back with my brother and me. We were 16 months apart. So this is nothing new. The idea of moms being really busy, parents being really, really busy. And even though my dad wasn't home all the time, he was a really active father when he was present. So the idea of today's show is to talk about how we balance our lives from career to kids to personal space, and also that all-important relationship that we want to continue to cultivate with our partner, which oftentimes ends up being the last thing on the list.
Right.
And this will lead into this low sex drive that you wanted to discuss today, which I'm not sure if you're seeing on the medical side is kind of a problem with patients coming into you saying that they want like a bigger sex drive or what.
No. Well, recently I've only had one person come in because of that, and he was 92 years old.
Oh, well, sorry, dude, you're slowing down a little bit there.
Yeah, but it's unless I take a detailed sex history, which I don't often unless people want to get into that, they don't come out and say, I'm here because of low sex drive, or I don't have sex with my husband, my boyfriend, my girlfriend anymore. I have to drag it out of them. It's not the reason they come to the doctor very often. Okay, well, I know that it was of a particular interest for you today that you wanted to throw that into the mix. Was there a reason for that? No, I just think that it's something you should talk to your doctor about. Since maybe sometimes your sex life is not as good as you think it is. Maybe you don't have a sex life and you don't really want to talk about it because, we've been in the same relationship for 10 years and
you get used
it's
to
good
it.
enough.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people do settle for the quote-unquote vanilla. A lot of people like vanilla, though. So, I guess it comes down to if you're with a partner that wants different flavors or wants more variation, wants more going on between the sheets, and the other partner is very happy with vanilla, then there's a problem usually, and it would end up in marriage counseling, which is a lot of what I see as a marriage and family therapist intern.
I wonder what is the ultimate thing that makes them come to get therapy?
Well, usually communication. So it's the number one problem in any relationship. It's not down to sex. And I usually tell my clients, couples that come into me, I make them laugh right off the bat by pointing to my heart and saying, if this closes, and I point down between the legs, I say, this closes. So I look at the partnership that's sitting in front of me and I say, if you want more going on down there and your river's flowing, you got to open the flow, open the channels of communication in the heart.
Right.
And oftentimes it's so relevant to every issue that people have as a couple, is that if they're not communicating, if they're not connecting, if they don't feel like the other person really is tuned into them, then their sex drive is going to diminish. unless you're that kind of small percentage that doesn't care about being connected emotionally to your partner, and you can have sex all the time rampantly anyway. But oftentimes we want to feel connected, and that's what gets the juices flowing and going and continuing to go. So I do think it's a proponent of what we're discussing today, because you need time to sit down and connect.
Because, you find so many people, couples with kids and et cetera, busy lives. They drop the kids off for school. They got to pick them up. They got to wait. They got to wait in line to pick the kids up, and you got to get home. You got to make dinner. The husband finally gets home.
Oh, you skipped a whole portion of the afternoon there.
Well, I usually work there.
Grocery shopping. Yeah,
oh,
right.
I forgot that. I forgot about
You're at the office. Grocery shopping, which, by the way, sounds easy, but think about having kids and grocery shopping. I was home with Luca the first 2.5, almost 3 years. To go to Vaughn's for 15 minutes on my own was like the Bahamas. I felt like I was having a pina colada. I'm sitting there listening to mariachi music in my mind. Like, yeah, it's a little holiday when you're anywhere without your kids for short periods of time during this period where everything's really busy.
Because you can turn the alarm off. You're not the alarm that's in your heart that said, man, I don't want to mess up this because this is my baby and I don't want anything to happen to it. So your alarm is always turned on.
Yes.
So you finally get to go to Vaughn's.
It's exhausting.
Oh, this is great.
And it's just me.
Oh, look.
Just my body.
People.
I don't have to worry about other bodies right now. Like, I can pick up this cheese and not have to look around me to figure out which 10 things are falling off the shelf from Luca down the way.
Right.
So that's that. And then also you get in the car. And then you have to schlep everything out of the car and bring it into the house and put everything away.
You come from a long family of schleppers, don't forget.
Well, I think it's called parenting.
Oh, that's what it is.
You're a schlepper for a certain period of time. And my mom told me when I had the baby, she said, thank goodness you're having him youngish. I was 30.
That's really old, yeah.
Right. Oh, back in the day, that was like an old woman, right?
That's right.
Because women used to have them so young.
Yeah.
But that was true middle age at like 26. You were like that old maid. Thank God times have changed. But she said, this is why you have kids young, because you have energy and you need it. She said, you're going to need so much energy. She ran us around karate, baseball, soccer, piano, horseback riding, gymnastics, piano lessons twice a week. My brother had a math tutor. We were busy every day was something different. And that's obviously when you get a little bit older, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But yeah, it's just different phases are really busy, man. He's 4 and my head's spinning.
And then when do you fit in lovemaking?
Okay, so thankfully my husband and I currently, and I'm saying currently because there are phases, as I just discussed, that will get busier. Things are going to wane and flow and, wax and wane. And you're going to have moments where things are just crazy busy and you're going to lose yourselves. And you're going to have moments where it's a little bit quieter. Right now, he's 4. He doesn't have this whole crazy agenda yet, but it is already crazy because of all the things that I'm doing as well.
Right.
And so thankfully, my husband and I currently don't have a big issue in the lovemaking department. We do find the time to carve it out. And this is going to go into, some tips I have today for those young parents out there. Because if it wasn't for me being consciously aware of carving out that time.
Well, you have to work on it.
Yeah, you have to be aware of carving out that time. You have to make it a priority. And even if it's, my parents used to set an alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning. They would have their greatest conversations in bed at 2 a.m. My mom always told me these stories, like as I grew up. And that would be their time because the kids are in bed, the house is quiet. Sometimes they'd go down and have like a midnight snack and have a drink, and that they had like a date in the middle of the night. You can't do that all the time; you're going to be exhausted. But if you carve out that time occasionally, you will continue that connection. The connection's going to flourish and thrive when life gets so crazy busy it's out of your hands.
Right, that's right.
It becomes like a machine. You have to have this system. My great-grandmother, with her little Yiddish New York accent, you gotta have a system, And that was in a day and age where women didn't work. Stay-at-home moms, which P.S. is like the hardest job in the entire world and the greatest. But let's not mistake, like they have a job. Stay-at-home moms are the greatest source of love on the planet, and I come from one.
I had a patient come in today, and she has 6 kids. I go, wow, that's a lot of kids. You think about just one, how much one work is one, and
yes,
5, 6. She brought in number 5, the 5th kid today.
Where were the others?
They weren't there. They were at school.
Okay, so it's spring break right now for Luca.
Right.
I've had him home for 3 days already. We've been dinosaur museum. We've been to the zoo already. Park every morning. The kid doesn't nap anymore, so it's like
No private time, no quiet time.
no.
It's time you just want to sit down, take a deep breath, and just sit there. Oh, okay, he's taking a nap. I can sit here for 20 minutes.
Oh
and
yeah,
be good.
and you know when he used to nap, which stopped about a year ago when he was 3, I would do my doctoral homework. So that was also quiet time. I found some zen just doing homework because it was like something other than running around after my child. And you know the guilt that goes into being a mother who's also establishing a career is huge. This takes a big emotional toll on moms. So any moms listening out there that also have a career that they want to carve out, you're guilty when you're doing anything to do with your career that's not with your kids. You feel bad that you're not with your kids. And when you're with your kids, you feel somewhat stunted or hindered or like you're not progressing in your own potential in your own life. And it's not necessarily guilt that ensues out of that feeling. It's this feeling of, frustration because you want to be able to also do your own thing. So it's this balance that you have to carve out, and it's really tough. And especially on the days where you're feeling vulnerable. You know, if you're having a day where you are particularly vulnerable and you have that feeling underneath the surface permeating anyway, definitely gets hard. And you feel like you're being torn away from your kids if you have to go to school, if you have to go to work. Some parents don't have a choice. I mean, this thankfully for me is a choice. This is a career path of mine that is a passion. It's a privilege to be able to pursue my passion and also be a hands-on mom. But a lot of parents out there don't have the choice, and they have to work just to make ends meet, and they feel ripped away from their kids. So it's really hard. All of that emotional stuff's happening, which may contribute to, the last thing on their mind is, hey, baby. How you doing? Let's go get
some therapists.
some
I see patients sometimes because therapists will send them in, and they want to make sure that they're good for therapy and that they don't have any medical problems. Do you ever do that?
What you mean? Refer people to a medical practitioner?
To a doctor and say, make sure that they have their thyroid checked or have this checked.
Yeah. So first of all, every single practitioner, no matter what, in every field, should have a list of referrals that they send people to from trusted sources. So I've already got like a psychiatrist that I know that I would refer people to. I would always refer people to you. You're down the street from my office. So if they need like a general practitioner, you're my doc.
Let's sing the limo down for them.
Oh, exactly. the one you send for me, the Bentley?
The Bentley.
Thank you.
The Bentley,
I love that one. Cream leather interior, white wall tires. No, just kidding. That's
not true. Oh,
or maybe I'm the one that needs the therapy. I'm getting delusional. That's because of lack of sleep, people. This is what today's show's about. What is sleep again? Yeah. So, so we're talking about all these different ranges of topics today based on this modern parent, right? And I don't know if you want to differentiate between male, female, like the father role, mother role.
Yeah. I'd like to do that. Maybe also get into some of the medical parts about that.
Yeah, well, talk to me about your medical side then. So what?
Well, first we're gonna go have a break.
We're gonna have a break in a minute.
This is your hometown station, KHTS. If anybody wants to call in, we're at 298-5487. We'll see you in a moment. Thanks.
Thanks.